Parliament resumes next month. MPs will be debating the amendment to marriage laws. It's meant to give harassed, exploited women a quicker way to end their bad marriage and freedom to do so with financial support. But many people, many of them women, are worried. They say, why aren't the laws gender neutral? On agenda today, our audience is again divided. On this side, we have people who say that this is outright anti-men. And on this side are those that say no, the new proposed law is very, very fair. They'll of course be led by their team members. We call them on this show pundits. Kirti Singh, senior lawyer and prime mover behind these amendments. Swaroop Sarkar, who's in studio, he represents the Family Foundation, and they say no, it's completely and something that will break up families. They're organizing protests all over. And actress Pooja Bedi giving us a personal perspective, what it is like and what has the experience been, how this new proposed law will change it. We'll get to them and our audience in just a bit. But first, here's what the new proposals for divorce are.
Should a woman get a share in her former husband's inherited property after divorce? On Wednesday evening, the Union Cabinet, while approving the Marriage Laws Amendment Bill, said yes. But importantly, the government says it's for the courts to decide what should be the wife's share in her husband's property. That's a come down from its earlier draft that said a woman should have equal share in her ex-husband's property, acquired post-marriage or inherited.
But the proposed changes in the marriage law can bring some respite to people like Naomi Chawla Tandon, who now lives with her father in Pune.
This 32-year-old who has an 8-year-old child has been fighting a bitter battle for the past 5 years to end her marriage. Right now, a couple needs to agree jointly before a court of law to end their marriage. And that too after a mandatory waiting period of 6 to 18 months. Now the law says either side can file for divorce within 3 years if a couple cannot reconcile their differences.
There's something that has to be done about, like, put a stop to these people who are literally not taking the law seriously.
What's clear is that the new provisions of the marriage law will have far-reaching consequences, and that's why many of the political parties want to firm up their stand while debating these provisions in Parliament. With Imtiaz Zalil in Pune, this is Sandeep Phukan reporting for NDTV.
So we'll be taking those talking points to the pundits. Kirti Singh and Mr. Sarkar are here. But first, let's take them one by one. The first question that we are asking, why don't husbands get share of wives' inherited property? Kirti Singh, do you want to take that? That's something many people are asking.
Well, I'd like to put the entire amendment in perspective. And what I'd like to say is that it's not as if women will get a share in all inherited property. At least that was never the proposal before, and I haven't read these proposals. It was only in the House. And definitely, if a wife and a husband have stayed together for a long time, then the wife is entitled to continue to live in the house, because we have seen, many surveys have shown that more than 70% of wives actually have to go back to their natal families or out on the streets. There's only a minuscule number of women who actually have a house. And while the Protection of Domestic Violence Act gives a right of residence, it doesn't give ownership in marital property and in a home.
Sure.
So as far as other property is concerned, we say that the division should be half and half. And the proposals, unfortunately, I think, don't say that. But as far as the home is concerned, if it's a home in which the couple have been living for a long time, if there are children, and in more than 80% of the breakdowns,
yes,
the children stay with the women.
But
so
Ms.
it's
Singh, I
really
think
important for them to have a home.
Yeah, we understand, and that's what the government also said, that it is, that's what makes it, that's what makes it pro-women. But I think what people like Mr. Sarkar are opposing and this entire side which is opposing, they're saying is that why aren't husbands also getting half the property, right?
You see, ma'am, what happened? If you see all over world the law, the word is spouse. It was told repeatedly to the government, make it spouse, but they have failed it. So we again requesting to the government, roll back this. Now the problem what ma'am has not answered. Problem is, why all this problem is coming? Ma'am is saying husband is having house. The reality is 80% of the men also does not have a house, and to get a house the contribution is not for 3 years or 5 years, it is 15-20 years. So a husband able to make a house maybe at the age of 40-45. The most important thing, even China also made such type of law invalid, because they are asking, okay, wife had contributed in a marriage, at the time of divorce, she should get some compensation in terms of property or money.
You don't think it
But
should
the
be 50%?
thing is, what is a woman contribution when a husband earning before marriage, his father's earning? On that case, same way, girls also having a property rights in their own parental.
Okay,
The problem
one by one. Let Kirti Singh respond to that. Kirti Singh, do you want to respond to what he's saying? That why?
I want to respond.
Yes.
Yes, I want to say that it's we wanted actually the women's movement has been asking for half share in marital property. That is all the property that is acquired during the marriage, and we are saying you should have half a share, because if you leave it to the discretion of the court, then what happens is that we have seen, our experience tells us that in several of the cases, in majority of the cases, the women actually end up getting a small meager amount of maintenance after years of fighting in court. You know, for instance, and the more the man earns, the less she gets. So what happens is that there's a sharp drop at the time of the divorce, which is why we said that whenever you talk of irretrievable breakdown of marriage,
yes,
first you should have laws which strengthen women. Women should be able to live you know, at the same level, at the same standard that they were during the marriage. And most importantly, the children also should be able to live at the same level.
Okay.
Second, as far as inherited property is concerned, as far as I know, it's only the home. And thirdly, to answer Mr. Sarkar's allegation that men take 15 years or 16 years to acquire property, well, then he is not really counting the work of the woman. He is not really giving a value to household work. And our stand is clear that the economic content of household work must be seen. The woman's contribution is as valuable, if not more so, because of whatever, because of chores, maintenance, supervision that she does in the house, the care that she takes of the children. And unlike what Mr. Sarkar says, just one more point, in a majority of the jurisdictions now across the world, you have what is communion of property. You have, it's recognized that women are equal partners in a marriage, whether they work or not.
One second.
Though it's a monumental assumption.
While both of you,
yes, it's there in England.
Kirti Singh, Mr. Sarkar, while both of you are divided, and here our audience also divided, I want to go across to Pooja Bedi, who's joining us from Mumbai. Pooja Bedi, as someone who's gone through the courts, gone through the entire process, you welcome this. I know we spoke with you earlier, you welcome this, but you also have some reservations about it. Would you like to tell us about it?
Absolutely. Well, there are 2 points of view in this situation. One is me being a divorcee, and the other is being mother to a son and a daughter. In the first case, what is the purpose of alimony? The purpose of alimony is that when a woman gets married, A, she might give up her career, B, she might be forbidden from having a career, or C, she may be banned, you know, and told that her only role is to be a housewife. In the eventuality that a couple breaks up, X number of years later, a man may have 20 years later risen to great positions of power in his work. A woman has to start from scratch. So the essence, the reason for alimony basically is to ensure that a woman is kept in the same quality of lifestyle that she has been accustomed to for X number of years. Now, I think alimony should be dependent on the number of years in the marriage, dependent on the fact whether you have children or don't have children. It cannot just be one stroke, that if you're married or if you're divorced. The categories vary. Number two, if you get I personally feel that what a couple gathers during the course of their marriage should be equally divided between husband and wife, again depending on the number of years and whether or not they have children. When you say you attach property that comes from the family, I think that is, to be honest, absurd. As a mother, if I go out there and I earn and I slave and I spend 20 years of my life buying a property for my children, I do not want some partner coming into their life 3 years later taking away half of what I have spent 30 years slaving away for my son, for his security, for his future, and some woman comes along, spends 3 years with him and takes off with half of what I have earned for my son. I think that is absolutely absurd. And one more point I would like to make. There's one more point I'd like to make.
Go ahead.
When we talk about dowry, what is dowry? Dowry is the practice of a woman bringing her family's wealth into the marriage at the time of her entrance, and that is illegal. So why does it become okay for her to take his family's wealth when she's exiting the marriage? Either she should be told, you bring your family's money when you enter marriage and take my family's money when you exit the marriage, you know, and have a sort of equation on that. Let it be fair for both sides. You can't say one is illegal and one is acceptable. That's wrong.